Where's Mike? Mike, Diane and Dementia 4. When I retired from teaching, I started writing a newspaper column called The Retirement Coach. I branched out and wrote travel pieces for magazines and newspapers across Canada. In 2016, we enjoyed a travel writing cruise courtesy of Holland America. Our ship's journey started in Sydney, Australia, and we circumnavigated New Zealand, stopping at many of its major cities. While on board, we relished tasty food complemented by terrific local wines. They set many meals at tables with up to 8 people gathered around. On one occasion, a lady sitting beside Diane asked her where we lived. Diane laughed and said, "Mike, you tell her," which I did. At another meal, someone asked what Diane did before retirement, and she responded in the same fashion. I thought little of it. I assumed she was simply tired. That was a mistake. It was an early tell. In Niagara, 6 years later, she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and primary progressive aphasia by a geriatric doctor based at McMaster University in Hamilton. We have been in Ottawa since December 2, 2021, settled into a bungalow in Canada at the west end of the city, which seems to sprawl forever. Our 2 adult children spent months trying to find optimal living conditions for us. Our home is perfect, with minimal maintenance involved both in front and back. There's a porch and a rear deck with heaps of flowers. What we were not prepared for after living in relatively balmy, wine-growing Niagara with its modest snowfalls was the punishing Ottawa winter. Cold. Ice. Snow. We spent the winter months huddled inside with the thermostat cranked up. Ottawa sits in a valley, and the trapped weather feels extreme. In Ottawa, we visited the memory clinic on March 22, where Diane experienced a 2-hour-long interview along with 2 tests. One was the Montreal Cognitive Assessment and the other's name I cannot remember. Maybe I need a referral. She scored 23/30ths on the former, but only 12/30ths on the latter. The clinic is focused primarily on research. Sadly, there's nothing on the market to deal with dementia. According to the World Health Organization, over 55 million people live with dementia worldwide. There are nearly 10 million fresh cases every year. It's the 7th leading cause of death among all diseases and one of the major causes of disability and dependency among older people. It has physical, psychological, social, and economic effects, not only for people living with dementia but also for their careers, families, and society at large. It's a major public health crisis. At the clinic, they told us there were 8 drugs currently in either phase 2 or 3 for approval. In Canada, there are 4 trial phases, each with a different purpose. Phase 1 is the safety phase, testing on a small group of healthy individuals for the first time. Phase 2 is the effectiveness phase, with the drug given to a larger group of individuals. Phase 3 is the confirmation phase, with the drug given to even larger groups of patients, usually in the thousands. Phase 4 is the monitoring phase after the drug is already approved and sold on the market. Given our aging population and the numbers afflicted by dementia in its many forms, it's disheartening to know that we have only 1 drug in Phase 3. We were told that they would get back to us in a month and let us know if Diane qualified for any of their programs. Given her low score on the latter test, it didn't seem likely, and they confirmed it. Both the memory clinic and our new Ottawa doctor advised us to get in touch with the Aphasia Centre of Ottawa, which we have done. They enrolled Diane in a Zoom conference program that meets from 11 a.m. to noon each Tuesday. I get Diane set up at my computer and help her join the group call. After each session, I ask Diane what she thinks, and whether it helped. She is remarkable. She often does most of the talking, and frequently steers the discussion topics, reverting to her social worker role. A young lady acts as the coordinator of the group. The conversations are simplistic. I watch facial expressions. Diane smiles a lot, which is encouraging to see. The small group comprises 1 other lady, a retired teacher, and 2 men. One is a journalist who lived in Vancouver and spent a lot of time in Asia. I do not know what the other guy did for a living. While the first 2 remain somewhat fluent, the latter delivers sparse, one-word responses, and sits ramrod straight, showing little emotion. If they represent a mini aphasia continuum, this is not a good sign. All the others laugh and enjoy the interaction. I think that's the basic premise of the group, simply an opportunity to interact. COVID-19 killed the socialization process for the past few years. Besides the broken ankle, several other medical issues arose before we moved. One evening, Diane complained about a fast, pounding heartbeat. I tested her blood pressure, and it was off the charts. Off we headed to the emergency ward at the hospital, 30 minutes away in St. Catharines, where we spent the entire night and a few more early morning hours. Diane was diagnosed with atrial fibrillation, AFib, an irregular and often very rapid heart rhythm, arrhythmia, that can lead to blood clots in the heart. During atrial fibrillation, the heart's upper chambers, atria, beat chaotically and irregularly, out of sync with the lower chambers, ventricles, of the heart. AFib increases the risk of stroke, heart failure, and other heart-related complications. We secured some meds, were referred to a cardiologist, and returned home to celebrate the joy of aging. This is a YouTube video based on my Facebook entries on dementia. I welcome your thoughts and prayers, likes and suggestions, particularly if you are engaged in similar struggles.